John Helsley and Gina here in Stillwater, where the Cowboys continue with their preseason camp. Gina, a little bit warmer today.
Yes.
Once upon a time, the first day of pads was a big topic. We found out today not so much with the Cowboys.
Yeah, they've been in shoulder pads for the past couple of days, but finally put the pads on their legs today. And yeah, Jeremy Smith, Sean Lewis said that really that's not a huge deal. They've kind of been going full thud, like they like to say here in Stillwater, for a few days now. And again, we've talked a lot in the past years about Mike Gundy's practice philosophy, and they don't want to overdo it. They don't want these guys to get too physical. But at the same time, here probably in the next few days or a week or so, they will have to crank it up a little bit, considering the opponent in Mississippi State on August 31st.
All right, one of the really hot topics of this camp is the running back position. They lost Joseph Randall, of course, Jeremy Smith, the obvious number one guy, but there's some question at number two. Who will fill that void? Des Rowland has gotten some good talk. Mike Gundy talked about him today. Kind of give us an idea of what you're hearing about the running back position.
Yeah, like you said, Jeremy Smith seems to be that bona fide number one guy, but Desmond Rowland is a guy that people seem to be really high on. Jamal Singleton has spoken very highly of him, kind of said that he sort of figured it out, not just on the field, but just this whole college thing, going to class, making sure you're studying up, doing what you're supposed to do. And so it seems like he's going to be certainly a candidate to be that number two guy. And then beyond that, you've got a youngster in Caleb Moncrief, and you've got two incoming freshmen in Corey and Webster and Rennie Childs. And it sounds like one of those guys needs to emerge. They need at least three, probably four running backs. And so again, these freshmen, Jeremy Smith talked about how Corey Webster's a little more physical, Rennie Childs is more of a speedster, but it'll be interesting to see if one or both of those guys kind of emerges and takes that number three, number four type role.
I'll have a story on Desmond Rowland and his development later this week. You'll have a story on the wide receivers. A lot of depth at the position. That's been a lot of the talk, but also looks like they might have two number one receivers.
Yeah, that's been a common question is, well, who's the number one guy? Is it Tracy Moore, obviously coming back from injury and being in that outside spot, or is it Josh Stewart, an all Big 12 selection, had a breakout sophomore season, over 1,000 yards, over 100 catches for this Cowboy team last year? And the answer is, they can both kind of be number one guys. And you mentioned the depth, and these wide receivers have talked about how they really don't care who gets the catches, and we'll see if that's just talk or I'm sure they actually do want the football. But we even saw in this offense a couple years ago with Justin Blackman and Josh Cooper. Both of them were stellar. Obviously, Blackman, a two-time Biletnikoff winner, but Josh Cooper ended his career ranked in the top 10 in school history in both catches and receiving yards. So a slot guy and an outside guy can thrive in this offense. So certainly they've got an abundance of riches at the wide receiver position, that's for sure.
All right, Gina and I will continue to bring you the news from Stillwater in the paper on newsok.com. And let's now cut and have a look and see what Mike Gundy and some of the OSU players had to say after practice today.
We had a good workout today, full pads, and we had some heat, which was really good for our football team. They got a little sluggish in the middle, but then we finished strong. When we kicked the music on, I think it made everybody play a little faster, pick the tempo up. So we had a good day. Been healthy. We've been fortunate our players have stayed healthy. So we just got to continue to push through. These next 7 or 8 days are really crucial in our preparation for our first game.
What are you looking for that first padded practice?
Oh, just effort. It's still really early in the season, and guys playing with effort. There's going to be mistakes, and get back up and play the next play.
But there's some good and some bad. There's always room to improve, and there's always stuff to go over, and for us guys to teach them up and to coach them up, and for the players to learn and get better at from a fundamental standpoint, from a scheme standpoint, from an overall unit standpoint. That's what we're looking to do, just improve one day at a time.
I feel like we're doing a great job. From where we're at, we're only like 5 or 6 days in the camp, and we're, really pushing hard, and the young guys are stepping up, and it's a really good feeling to see that as a veteran, knowing that, as long as we keep, moving forward and everything's going to be good for us.
Does this offense show that, you can have an outside guy and an inside guy really, thrive, and it doesn't really matter?
Oh, for sure, and they proved it, and we're just trying to, as a unit, we're just working on coming together, knowing everybody's spots, and, just working hard together, and everything going to come along, and we're going to be good come August 31st. So.
I just feel like this. Once you put the shoulder pads on, it's pretty much go from there. You don't really need pants pads. But we got to do some goal line scrimmaging, so I guess you get a real live, I guess, because, they can go for the legs and stuff like that. So, I like it. You got to continue to keep your legs healthy and get your rest at night and do all the good stuff. So usually when you put your pads on, they won't feel heavy or anything like that.
I think we did. Anytime Coach Gundy makes us go again after one play, I think the defense pretty much won. It gave them a second chance. So, I mean, we go in and look at the film, but from the intensity level, we was pretty excited and pleased with that.
Well, I thought we played pretty well. I think our defensive line is much more aggressive and come off the ball and makes it harder for our offense to make plays. And that's really what I see out here. I see an offense that's very similar to what we've had in the past at this point, but I see a group of guys that are on defense that are in more of attack mode.
Are you prepared to point to any guys that so far that are playing above and beyond, or at least to the level that you expect them to, and impress you?
Oh, I think you have the regular guys that are playing well. It's Lewis and Barnett and D'Lo, but I like where Ashton Lampkin is. I think he's improved. I like what Ryan Simmons has done. There's some offensive guys, some young guys that have made plays. But again, we're a week away from really making a determination on who stepped up at this point.